What if I told you? Right now, inside your body, something could be silently increasing your risk of cancer. And you wouldn't feel a single thing. No pain. No warning. No symptoms. Just quiet damage happening every single day. Most people believe cancer comes suddenly, like it appears overnight. But that's not how it works. Backhand index pointing right, it builds, slowly, silently, over years. And by the time it's discovered, it's already too late to reverse easily. Now here's the part that should concern you. What if the biggest trigger behind this process is something your doctor barely talks about? Something so common that millions of people are living with it right now, without even knowing. My name is Dr. Thomas Morgan. For over 20 years, I've worked in oncology. I've had conversations that no doctor ever wants to have. I've looked people in the eyes and told them they have cancer. And after every single case, one question stayed in my mind. Backhand index pointing right, what could we have done earlier? Because here's the truth. Cancer rarely starts as something big. It starts small. At the level of your cells. Your DNA. Tiny errors that slowly begin to grow. And when I started digging deeper into the research, one factor kept showing up again. And again. And again. Backhand index pointing right, chronic inflammation. Now wait. Before you think, this doesn't apply to me, you need to understand something critical. There are two types of inflammation. The first one, you already know. Backhand index pointing right, acute inflammation. You cut your finger. It swells, it hurts. That's your body healing itself. That's good. But the second type is completely different. Backhand index pointing right, chronic low-grade inflammation. This one doesn't hurt, doesn't swell, doesn't show up in obvious ways. It just sits there, quietly, like a slow-burning fire inside your body. For years. Sometimes decades. And here's the dangerous part. Backhand index pointing right, you can have it, right now, and not even know it. No symptoms. No clear signs. Just silent damage. Now let me show you why this matters so much. Because this is where things get serious. Every single day, your body creates millions of new cells. And every time a cell divides, your DNA has to copy itself perfectly. Most of the time, this process is incredibly accurate. But when chronic inflammation is present, everything changes. Your body becomes filled with backhand index pointing right free radicals. Highly reactive molecules that attack your DNA. They damage it. They distort it. They increase the chances of errors. And when these errors start to accumulate, backhand index pointing right mutations begin to form. Now here's the turning point. Mutations alone don't always cause cancer. Your body has a defense system. Special immune cells, called natural killer cells. Their job is simple. Backhand index pointing right, find abnormal cells, and destroy them before they become dangerous. But chronic inflammation does something terrifying. Backhand index pointing right, it weakens that defense system. It slows it down. It makes it less effective. So now, you have two things happening at the same time. Backhand index pointing right, more DNA damage. Backhand index pointing right, less immune protection. And that is the perfect environment for cancer to grow. Now listen carefully. Because this next part changes everything. Research published in top medical journals shows backhand index pointing right around 25% of cancers worldwide are linked to chronic inflammation. 25%. That's not a small number. That's 1 out of every 4 cases. And it gets even more concerning after the age of 50. Because your body naturally changes. Scientists even have a name for it. Backhand index pointing right, inflammaging. As you get older, your body becomes more inflamed by default. Your immune system weakens. Your ability to repair damage slows down. And suddenly, things that didn't affect you before start to have a much bigger impact. The food you eat, your sleep, your stress, your activity level. Everything becomes more important. But here's the problem. Most people are still living like they're 25. Ignoring the signs. Ignoring the science. Ignoring what their body actually needs, and that's exactly why so many people are caught off guard. Because this process doesn't feel dangerous. Until one day, it is. Backhand index pointing right, and that's where everything changes. Short pause, lower tone. But here's the good news. This is not something you're powerless against. In fact, there is a simple, proven way to reduce this inflammation and dramatically lower your risk. Backhand index pointing right, and almost nobody is doing it correctly. So the question is, if chronic inflammation is silently increasing your cancer risk, backhand index pointing right, what can you actually do about it? Because here's the truth. Most people think the solution is complicated. Expensive treatments. Strict diets. Extreme workouts. But the reality is, backhand index pointing right, the most powerful solution, is surprisingly simple. And it starts with something you do every single day. Backhand index pointing right, what you eat. Short pause. There is one dietary pattern that has been studied more than almost any other in the world. And the results are consistent. Clear. Undeniable. Backhand index pointing right, the Mediterranean anti-inflammatory diet. In one of the largest studies ever conducted, over 500,000 people were tracked for more than a decade. And what researchers found was remarkable. People who followed this style of eating, backhand index pointing right, reduced their cancer risk by up to 30 to 40%. Think about that for a moment. Not a drug. Not a treatment. Backhand index pointing right, just food. So why is it so powerful? Because every part of this diet works directly against inflammation. At the cellular level. Take olive oil. It contains natural compounds that act like anti-inflammatory medicine inside your body. Leafy greens. They protect your DNA during cell division, reducing the chance of mutations. Fatty fish like salmon, rich in omega-3. Backhand index pointing right, known to lower inflammatory markers in your blood. Berries, loaded with powerful antioxidants. Backhand index pointing right, that can actually interfere with cancer development. This isn't just healthy eating. Backhand index pointing right, this is biological protection. Short pause, shift tone slightly. But here's where most people make a mistake. They think diet alone is enough. It's not. Because there is one habit that might be even more important. And almost everyone is doing it wrong. Backhand index pointing right movement. Not intense workouts. Not hours in the gym. Backhand index pointing right, just consistent, daily movement. 30 to 45 minutes. Walking. Cycling. Swimming. Anything you can sustain. And here's why this matters. When you move your body, your muscles release powerful substances called backhand index pointing right myokines. These are natural anti-inflammatory signals that travel throughout your body. Backhand index pointing right actively reducing inflammation. At the same time, exercise lowers insulin levels and balances hormones. Backhand index pointing right creating an environment where cancer cells struggle to grow. And the data is clear. People who stay active. Backhand index pointing right reduce their cancer risk by 20 to 30%. Just from movement. Short pause, deeper tone. Now there's one more piece. And this is the one most people underestimate the most. Backhand index pointing right sleep. Because while you sleep, your body goes into repair mode. Your DNA gets fixed. Your immune system resets. Your body clears out harmful waste. But if you're sleeping less than 6 hours, backhand index pointing right, that repair process is incomplete. Inflammation rises. Your immune system weakens. And your risk quietly increases. Studies have linked poor sleep to higher risks of multiple cancers. So this isn't optional. Backhand index pointing right sleep is part of prevention. Strong, clear tone, summary. So let's make this simple. After the age of 50, your body naturally shifts toward inflammation, but you have 3 powerful tools to fight back. Backhand index pointing right, the right food. Backhand index pointing right, daily movement. Backhand index pointing right, quality sleep. No expensive treatments. No complicated plans. Just consistent habits that work with your biology, not against it. Emotional close. I've seen people in their 60s and 70s completely transform their health in just a few months by making these changes, and the best part? Backhand index pointing right, you can start today. CTA, soft but persuasive. If this opened your eyes, hit like and subscribe, because the next video might be the one that protects your future.